Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming in and listening to our interview. Today, we have a really great guest. Her name is Melissa Peterson. Just to give you a little bit of background on Melissa, she's been in the chiropractic industry for quite some time, in the health and wellness industry as well. When she was running her own clinic, she did around $75,000 a month, growing systems and processes within the clinic. So it was a very, very smooth process to hit those numbers. She's also done, other great things. She used to work in an integrative health and wellness practice as well. They did around $3.7 million a year annually. And now Melissa is kind of specializing in consulting and really speaking, helping out other clinics and practices be able to grow their brick and mortar so that they can actually sell a lot more products digitally that help them, help out more patients virtually and help them scale their own clinic's revenue as well. So thank you very much, Melissa, for coming by. I know you're pretty busy on a day-to-day basis, so I appreciate the time.
Yeah, absolutely, David. And for more than 20 years of being a doctor of chiropractic and board certified in holistic health, I've worn so many hats. And for many years, it was in the trenches in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And I've owned many. I've owned everything from straight chiropractic clinics that are mine, 3 practices at a time, to owning an integrative MD DC type of model where we did physical and functional medicine, as well as being part owner in an very integrative anti-aging lifestyle medicine, a medical spa. And it was really out of that. So I've been in so many different environments that it was about a decade ago that providers started coming to me. So slowly, little bits and pieces, and I would do a contract at a time in the consulting realm, really saying, how do we do this? So it was first people wanted to understand how to do lifestyle medicine. And so I would develop programs and literally curriculums that would go into their practice to create cash pay programs. As I was doing more functional medicine in my own practice, as a chiropractor, really building these substantial cash pay programs. I mean, my average program was $5,500, for 6 months, and they would go up to $8,500. And so my peers started coming and saying, how do we do that? And I remember working the long hours, being there, loving what I do, but not necessarily doing what I love, because I was running the business, and the business part of it this took so much time. And so I years ago said, there's got to be a smarter way. And I really began to take on the mantra of, smarter, not harder, and looking at systems and processes. And you kind of cued into that. Yeah. And I've been on a mission really probably for the past 7 years, very specifically, of helping my peers, because I know what it's like, and I know I see it every day, and I know how my fellow doc is struggling.
And I think that's one of the struggles that a lot of clinics have. I'm glad you brought that up, because a lot of clinics, if they're doing $10,000 a month, they're super busy. If they're just one chiropractor, they don't know how they can go from $10,000 a month to $40,000 a month.
Correct.
And even when they go from 10 to 40 and they find out the systems and processes that work for that, then they go, oh, I'm hitting 40. There's no way I can do that. Of course, there's some learning moments. Right. And systems and processes that help them scale their business. They go from $40,000 to $80,000 a month, and they keep on hitting that ceiling. And that's why I was interested in talking with you today, because with what you do, there really is, there's always some type of ceiling, but it's a really, really high ceiling.
Yeah.
So I was hoping you could give a little bit of specifics, kind of tell them how your practice, well, not your practice, but what you do that helps out clinics really scale from just brick and mortar to using their own customer list to really hit a lot higher targets.
Right. So I think it's super important for all of us to realize we are in a digital healthcare age. And yet many of us run brick and mortars, and we can get really bogged down. And you're right, we hit those ceilings, and it becomes very hard to figure out how do we move beyond it. And that's what we do. We really specialize in breakthroughs. And so first and foremost, if I can offer one piece of just personal inspiration advice, is we have to, even if we don't know how, we have to be committed to saying, I'm going to aim bigger. Just because we're trapped seemingly in I don't know how to do it and where it's going to come, we have to always look beyond where we're at and hold that really juicy, inspiring vision, and dream big. Surround ourselves with big thinkers and ideas, listen to really inspiring stuff, because as a business owner, it's easy to get deflated every day, especially when you have to advise people of a health program and they say no, or they say, if insurance won't pay for it, I don't want it. So it can be really defeating. So we have to fuel ourselves with big thinking so that because we are the leader. So that said, how do we begin to scale in this digital healthcare age? And that is what we specialize in with Practice Impact Master. So as Impact Inc., we've really brought products to market, products and programs for our peers. And the simplest way I want people to think about it is, if you're at 10,000 wanting to break through to 40, that's a different process than if you're at 40 wanting to go to 80. While it's all relative, that we're going to take similar steps and just kind of rinse and repeat with fine-tuning what we call critical drivers. Those are the action steps that need to happen to get you from A to B to C, as well as, you know, the outcomes you're wanting to achieve. So when you're at 10 and you want to get to 40, the first thing that we want to look at is low-hanging fruit, okay? Because oftentimes what I see providers think is, well, I just need more. I just need more. And of course, David, your group is amazing at really bringing in more. Like, you guys are the experts at bringing in those qualified leads. And that is a very important part and reality of our practices. But you and I have talked about this. We can bring in more all day, but if you do not have the right infrastructure and systems in place, you're blowing your money on the front end because they're not going to convert when they're there. So there's really 3 parts to first practice success. And then we look at where are we at with these 3 essential foundational components. And then based on that, how do we strategically find where you begin to scale by using and leveraging the digital space? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And it kind of reminds me of that example you gave me before, where you were talking about that one practice, you know, where they were struggling to scale, and you were able to get them an extra, it was around $30,000 of revenue in that first 30 days.
Yeah.
And, you know, you put into practice like a very specific example is you said, hey, you have a great customer list here, good patient list.
Yep.
A lot of them would be interested in, say, a detox or a cleanse program. And then all you did was use a specific email marketing campaign with 3 different steps to turn that patient list into an extra $30,000 of revenue for that month.
Right.
And I think that's what a lot of our listeners want to hear and see, because there's so many examples like that you've done. And I think there was another example too where you've created just an $11,000 to $15,000 residual income for a clinic based on another virtual product, or, you know, maybe even a specific product that doesn't take up the clinician's time.
Right. So with that, let me break down the 3 steps that are essential. We have to know how to attract our ideal client. So as the provider, we think everybody's our client, but I'm talking to you, a fellow marketer, and you know that's absolutely not true. So there's a specific client who will value what we deliver, who will pay for it, and who will show up and be really engaged in getting the result. And then they'll go out and become a brand advocate and help to word of mouth bring in more referrals. I see too often we accept the wrong kind of patient. So we then just create this very unhealthy internal brick and mortar environment where I call it allowing the inmates to run the asylum. So we feel like we're constantly at the beck and call of the patient who's going to cancel last minute, and they throw off our revenue, our consistency. So first we have to really be honest and clear with ourselves about who we can best serve, who we can best help, and drill it down. So instead of thinking we've got to help 50 different conditions, let's become the expert in 1 to 3 max, and let's really hone that, because that's going to help us message and share. And really, because there's so much noise out there today, there's huge competition, and we are in the digital healthcare age. So we have to be able, it's like if you've ever seen the Dr. Seuss movie, Horton Hears a Who, we have to be able to break through that one final voice, all of that momentum that has to break through all the noise. And the only way we can do that is with a crystallized, clear message. And if we try to be all things to all people, we become nothing to no one. So step 1 is attract the right client for your practice. Step 2 is know how to enroll them. And again, David, you do a really great job with this. We teach this in our cash pay practice system of how you really sell without selling, how you manage and exceed expectations, and really just some simple psychology of how you match and mirror and engage the client to say yes. Okay, so there's that. We need to know how to enroll them into care, because you can send them leads all day, but if they don't have the comfortability to communicate effectively, really their value and what they deliver, people aren't going to buy. And
Right.
then step 3, and now I'm going to take the 3 steps and I'm going to build in the exact 2 examples that you just shared a moment ago of what we've done and how these fit in for different practices at these different steps. Step 3 is so important. It's about delivering. So
Mm.
you gotta deliver the goods. You can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk, right? So you have to have the right actual program delivering the right services in the right way that's actually gonna get the result. The
Mm-hmm.
client wants a complete result, and you have to really understand that. So what happens so often, and I'll start first with where we put that residual income with the membership model. In our practices, things are really front loaded, but I know everybody watching this is an amazing heart-centered doctor and clinician. And so that means once you get through those first few hurdles and they come into you, that you've done the hard part, you've done the heavy lifting and they've said yes.
Mm-hmm.
But now, what if we can help you retain those clients so you don't always have to keep putting out so much effort on the front end? It
Yes.
costs so much less to retain. And
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the largest missed opportunities in our space across the board. So we have a very simple membership model that we teach our clients how to use as part of our program. And so it's highly effective. And so for this one practice, we built the model. We spelled out exactly what was in it, put a lot of great added value, and it's just like a gym membership. They don't use it, right? None of us use our memberships to the fullest. And so here's the great thing. It's definite automatic revenue that's coming in every single month. And so we put out one mailer, so one hard piece that came to their mailbox, and we put out a series of 3 emails. So we did all of that in a 6-week period, and they enrolled over 90 people who otherwise was money that was just gone.
Yeah.
They weren't collecting.
And that's where that 30,000 came from, is that 90 people with the cleanse.
No. So this one, I'm talking about the membership model.
Oh, the membership
This was
model.
in the
Okay.
6 weeks. So this was step 1 of launching the membership. So in only 6 weeks, out of just one mailer and 3 emails, they brought in 90 people that were already their patients, right?
Wow.
So they just recaptured those people, and
Mm-hmm.
they now have them signed on a contract, and they're making $147 every single month, like clockwork, from those 90 people. And then, the next month they brought on 20, and then the month after that they brought on 20. So now it's a slow attrition, and every month, so we've got an active email campaign. Their patient base actually is really great with email.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're opening the emails and they're getting involved, and more people are calling in. And I just got a call from the office yesterday. We did another email this week, just kind of announcing another fun, new, exciting thing. And they're going to do an event with the doctors next month. They had 5 patients that had left the practice because they didn't like one of the doctors.
Right.
Left the practice, come back to the practice, and enroll in the membership. So it's a simple matter of, it's just simple communication using a digital tool that goes on autopilot, and they captured and brought that money in. So that's really kind of on the delivery. It's the set delivery, the way to keep delivering those results and continue to keep people in your pipeline.
So what I'm hearing you say too, Melissa, is it sounds like if a clinic already has a patient database, with your particular membership model, there's just basically a lot of money sitting on the table there. They've already done the hard work. They've already created the patient database. It's very little effort to turn that into residual income for the clinic and a huge health and wellness change for the patient.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is so powerful, and I would love nothing more than to have so many people from this interview alone. I'd love to have 100 people from this interview say, Melissa, we want to learn how to do this, because could you imagine if we can create literally that kind of wealth, you know, just and see it grow exponentially. I mean, so it's beautiful. But the other last thing, because I know, David, this was just kind of we got on to do a fast and furious one today. But this is important because this is what you really want your audience to know, which is, okay, the scaling concept. So what I've talked about so far is making sure we've got the right foundation in our brick and mortar. And I just gave you one example of how you can already further capture and retain your revenue and results from your existing patient base. So that's all kind of current stuff, right? Now this concept of scale. How do we go from 10,000 to 40,000? You know, do we just want to scale financially? And for some people, that means I've got an opportunity on my books that I just need more people in. You know, so like I said, each of these points looks very different for each of us. So for some people, scaling means I need more bodies on the books, and that's going to increase my revenue because we've got more potential. For those that are starting to max out, I tell people whenever you're getting to 80% consistent retention, like you know your schedule's really dialed in and it's solid, your numbers are solid all the time, that's your next point of when you want to say, how do we scale? So what can we do that will allow us to work more efficiently and smarter versus harder? What do we have that our people want, that they're already coming into us for, that we can leverage in a way that will produce additional revenue? Does that make sense?
Yep, yep.
And so this is now the example of the practice that, again, a solid practice. They already were putting up consistent numbers, but they're like, we want more. Like, we just couldn't break through. And they were at 45K a month, you know, so they were very solid, but they just couldn't break through. They would occasionally have a 60K a month, but it would always default back down. And so we looked at what people were coming in for the most. And this particular practice had a lot of people that they did a lot around stress and hormones. And so I was like, you know what, every single person in here can benefit from a detox. So I licensed my 30-day detox program. So we've created all the materials. They don't have to lift a finger. Everything was done for them. We tell them, here's the product. If you've got products of choice you already want to use, great, use them. You want suggestions on products? Here. So you can have simple products that you can retail and this simple 30-day program. They put it on their site on a virtual store and it sold. And the way that they did that, again, they did it both with the people in the practice, but we also did an email campaign with that. And now it's there. And that's the one that did 30K. In as little as 30 days. So there's, you know, we just get so focused on our day-to-day that, like I said, the best thing we can do for ourselves are listen to podcasts like this, where we can get inspired and we can get bigger ideas, because it's just, you know, it's just a simple idea. It can be a huge game changer in how we are showing up and loving what we do and doing what we love every day, so we don't feel like we're barely scrimping by, but we're being prosperous, we're being abundant and joyful. And as we give and love and receive out, it's give and love and receive back. And it's a beautiful ecosystem that way.
I appreciate that, Melissa. So, and everyone who's watching here today, we're giving you a couple specifics and then some of the bigger ideas. We're actually going to have a webinar where Melissa kind of breaks down step by step how to grow and scale your practice with virtual products, that really how to break through that barrier that you have right now in terms of revenues and using your patient base to do that. So, you know, click on the link below. We're going to have that webinar for you ready to watch, and you're going to get a ton of information. We're going to give everything away so that you know exactly what to do step by step. Melissa, thank you so much for your time, and I appreciate all the help that you give us today.
Absolutely. Thank you. My pleasure, guys. Be well.
Okay. Have a good day. Bye.